I really believe that with the GoBundance community and what we're setting out to do, that we have the ability to change the world. And when people ask me, why do you get up in the morning? What are you chasing? I'm like, I want to change the world. I want to change the world in a meaningful way. And I truly believe that if we change men in all aspects of life, and then they go and impact their families, and that family goes and impacts the community, we will change the world.
So we've established that you love to ask questions. You think they're a gateway to finding the gifts that are throughout our past. We can use those as gifts. We can use that to make progress. I'm curious, and you've mentioned passionate husband and father.
Yeah.
Can you talk about professionally for a minute and kind of go to what you do now and why that's important to you, Matt?
Yeah. So look, I'm very fortunate is what I would say. I got lucky because it's a shorter way to tell the story, but I got very lucky. I got in touch with the right person when I was 23 years old. His name was Pat Hyben. I met him volunteering at a camp for children with incarcerated parents, and just was fascinated by the guy. And again, I could have sought answers, but instead I was looking for questions. So I just kept asking. I kept asking. And finally I learned he was an author. I went and read his book, reached out to him the next day, like, hey, I read your book in a day. What would it take to have coffee with you? Again, another question, right? And so I met this guy, and he gave me an opportunity in his world. And that opportunity led to me volunteering at one of the first ever GoBundance events down in Orlando, Florida. There was about 13, 17 guys, something like that, in a house. And Pat told me, you're going to go volunteer at this thing called a mastermind group. You're going to work 18-hour days. You're going to sleep on an air mattress. He didn't tell me the air mattress would lose air, but it did. And he's like, you're just going to work. You're just going to serve. Okay. And candidly, Matt, I didn't even know what a mastermind was. So like there I am on my old like Motorola Razr, whatever phone I had at the time, looking up what is a mastermind. Like I didn't know. And at that meeting, I met this guy named David Osborne. And about 6 months later, I volunteered at another GoBundance event. And I saw David again, and just subconsciously, intuitively, like I saw a reflection of me in him, or a reflection of him in me, whichever way you want to look at it. And I remember, I'll never forget this. There was one day where his wife was flying into town. Robert Kiyosaki was our keynote speaker. David's plane was picking up Robert Kiyosaki with Tracy, his wife, on it, and they were coming to Tahoe. And David asked me to go get his ski boots while he was eating breakfast. And again, being a servant-based leader, I was like, yeah, no problem. Absolutely. So I ran up to his room, got his ski boots, and his room was a disaster. Like typical man at a hotel by himself, like shoes here, towels there, bed on, like we've all been there, right? We've all been there. And I came downstairs and I was like, dude, like this is a really weird question, I know, and I apologize, but like, do you care if I clean up your room before Tracy comes? Like, I'm not sure she would appreciate showing up to that tornado. He like looked at me, he's like, man, you're foolish. Like, you're not touching my underwear. And then he thought for a second, he's like, if you don't mind, like, sure. Yeah, if you don't mind. And so like, I really believe like that was like God, the universe, whatever you believe in, like putting our paths together as one. After that event, I got on the airplane and rewrote my 5-year vision. And I said, I live in Austin, Texas. I work for David Osborne. I had never visited Texas in my life. 2 weeks later, he called and said, what would it take to get you to Austin? And we've been here for 10 years now. Started out just as like his water boy. Look over his shoulder, take stuff off his plate is what he said. That's what I did. Fast forward 10 years, I run his family office, oversee the operational companies that he owns and operates, make all the investment decisions with him and for him, oversee his trust and estate plan. And then in addition to that, have the privilege and honor of being the CEO of GoBundance, which is the community that changed my life. And now I have the ability rather to be in the back of the room serving water, to be in the front of the room serving water, and have that same impact happen for others. And what's really cool about it, Matt, is the ripple effect. Like it's changed my life. That's amazing. It's magical. But that change has rippled to my family. That change has rippled to my parents. That change has rippled to my community, to my friends, like to people I've never even met, just from the perspectives that I have on life. And so I really believe that with the GoBundance community and what we're setting out to do, that we have the ability to change the world. And when people ask me, why do you get up in the morning? What are you chasing? I'm like, I want to change the world. I want to change the world in a meaningful way. And I truly believe that if we change men in all aspects of life, and then they go and impact their families, and that family goes and impacts the community, we will change the world. And so it's humbling, it's bold, maybe a bit delusional, but it gets me out of bed every day, causes me not to sleep many days, and I'm excited to continue to chase it.
I love it.